Okay, so here we go. Good evening, everyone. Um, Lots to talk about this week. I got a message from Cheryl who responded to Cheryl. Yes, we are going with our class live at 7 o'clock. Hopefully, I'm coming through loud and clear. I think I am. One of the great things about technology is when it works is we can have a class from anywhere in the world. Right now, I'm in North Palm Beach, actually I'm in Palm Beach Gardens, right next to North Palm Beach. That's how it had to work out tonight. I'm not near my office, and I do want to explain what happened on Tuesday, regular class live. I was unable to be on the class live due to other obligations. What happened this weekend at my full-time job at Broward Schools, that many various things happen and deep things happen. I can make a whole course in psychology just based on that, dealing with child abuse issues, which was the case on Tuesday, and I had investigators show up to interview some kids and myself and get my input as well on what was going on in a very heartbreaking situation. 3 children, and I won't go into all the details, but I suppose I've maybe been aware of worse, but this was pretty bad. This is just almost as bad as it gets in terms of what the kids have been through. Being, of all things, treated as though they weren't wanted by their parents. Certainly not by myself and my staff. We love them. What ended up happening was later in the week, because of what happened in previous times, the kids were removed to foster care, and they, after everything they'd been through, they didn't want to go to foster care. They wanted to be with one of the parents. It's interesting how kids from abusive homes still cling to their parents. And then getting to my point I was going to make a minute ago was one of the greatest, perhaps the greatest of all needs, psychological or otherwise, is that need of acceptance, that need to be accepted, that need for acceptance is so strong that all of us do. We're pine for that, and the children are no different. And they were in a tough situation. As it turns out, after spending a couple of nights in foster care, I spoke with the kids Friday right before they're not with my school anymore. They were only with us for a few months, so it isn't like they are leaving a solid, comfortable, and established structure at school. Unfortunately, it'd be better if they did have more structure, but they've been bounced around places. Anyway, I'll tell you, I interviewed the oldest girl, to see how she felt about leaving school, because we have to have their input naturally. And while she was crying just a couple of days before on that Tuesday, please don't send me to foster care. I don't care what happens. Please, she's falling. See her with what I would only describe personally and professionally as a look of relief on her face after being in a home, it's a group home. And nonetheless, the person there running it loves children. I'm not saying she is those parenting styles or go over any of those things with you, but she loves to get Gary Tim's story, and she has a lot of success with children. So we're going to pray for them, those 3, and God watches over them, and God can take tragedies and turn them into good. So I'll bet that's Cheryl. Welcome. I don't know for sure. Is that you, Cheryl? Okay, yeah, it says your internet connection is a little unstable, but that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, terrific, terrific. I was just explaining a little bit. You can pick up on the recording that's been recorded about what happened on Tuesday. I had to, at the very last minute, um, postpone our class live, and it was because of a child abuse situation at my regular full-time job, heartbreaking situation. And some investigators showed up to talk to some kids from our aftercare program. Well, actually, they just came back to the school, and also they wanted my input as well. So that kind of took precedent over our class live at that time. But I'm happy to be with everyone today. And I'm going to get right into it, Cheryl, and we're going to get into learning that aspect of it. We've had a very robust conversation this week in the discussion tab about conditioning and how that relates to video games and movies and other media that exposes to violence. So, I definitely have some opinions personally as well as professionally. And it seems that everyone in classes, or most people have opinions as well as some experience along the lines from their personal standpoint. So, where do you stand on it, Cheryl? Why don't you go ahead and share with us? So that's me talking. Share any experience you have, and what's your take on it, please?
I won't say any experience other than I remember a time was when my mother and I first moved to an apartment. There was violence as far as like domestic violence, and that was first. That's the first time I had seen anything like that, and we didn't harden it or anything like that, but I believe the police was called at that time. But as far as video games, I usually don't play them. My daughter plays them, and we both. She loves horror movies, and that horror movies have a lot of violence in them. And we both look at them and wonder why people are so stupid.
Right.
And so it's like, we just don't understand why they could act that way and or think that they're doing something really great, but they're not doing anything really great. They're doing the wrong thing,
Right.
And I mean, like I said, movies. I enjoy movies that if they're taking up for people and stuff like that, but and they involve some violence, past week, they were talking about the guys that threw something off the bridge and killed somebody. I felt like that was happened before, with an older man, a preacher, and he forgave. That's just what he does. He forgave them. But I'm not sure where they're standing right now. But these teenagers, they decided that they would do this, and whether one just did it or a bunch of them, their parents are thinking, why did you do this? And I had watched them on Dr. Phil's show, and he said, they should be punished, but how much should the punishment be when they are, what is it, when they've been basically good people, good students, doing the right things all the time, and all of a sudden they do something stupid. He said, what kind of punishment would it be? I don't want them to be punished, but what kind of punishment should it be? And that's something that, judge and courts would have to decide. And And a lot of times, those are based on forgiveness. And the mother and wife of the person that was killed, she forgiveness, but it's hard for her. She has no husband. So, that those violent things, I don't think that they've seen it on TV, but, they knew it was wrong. I mean, why did they?
Well, Cheryl, I think, thank you very much for that input. I think what you've kind of talked about here is, what forgiveness is, that's a whole other, I'd love to make a course just on forgiveness and do, be the, going on and speaking of that, and how forgiveness doesn't alleviate consequences, or people say, well, we shouldn't forgive criminals. We can forgive them, and they still have to serve their time. I think that's really God's model. He forgives us, but there are consequences for actions. Also, with what you were mentioning just now, today I went to church today, and I had a wonderful sermon by a great pastor. He's a friend of mine, and he was talking about how he is spending more time reading the Bible. He made a commitment. One of his sort of resolutions was to spend less time watching news and more time reading the Bible. And, we kind of get wrapped up into it with all the news, especially now. It used to be when I was a kid, I'm 57, when I was a kid, you had the 6 o'clock local news and you had the 6:30 national news. And then after that, game shows and, whatever. Now the news is connected 24/7, and media being what it is, they're all trying to get their market share. They sensationalize it and everything else. So, it really can take us away. And every minute he says that I'm reading the news, I'm watching the news, I'm not reading the Bible. Not that he reads the Bible 24/7, but is that really the best thing for his mind? Is to watch the news and the violence and those kind of things. Not that you can shield yourself from it. The world is happening, things are happening in the world, but where do we put our attention? So just one of the things with video games, there's a couple of our classmates and students that they do enjoy playing those games, and some of the guys are grown men, and they're in law enforcement even. That's fine. They don't act out, or it doesn't influence them, and it doesn't influence everybody. But looking at Bandura's experiments and the Bobo doll, we really, the evidence is there scientifically that watching violence media can lead some to act out violently. Maybe not necessarily murdering or beating up, but just even in other lesser ways of being an aggressive driver, or what I like to call verbal violence. People say rudeness and incivility. I like the term verbal violence. I think we've in society have risen to that level where people are so caustic in their speech, in their words, that it has risen to the level that I call it violence. Not just being nasty or inconsiderate with words. People are actually aggressive, and the Bible talks about this very many words in Proverbs. Speaking of kind words that can soothe an argument over. I don't know the exact chapter and verse, but in Proverbs you can find it. It's famous, and I should look it up. It talks about how kind words can turn away wrath, and evil words, and even heal. Kind words are healing, where otherwise it is very problematic. So, where do you draw the line? Wouldn't want to tell them when they can't play a game or watch a movie. But I think the point is that sometimes gets missed is people who, as you mentioned in the apartment, people who grow up in a violent home or in, with war, around them, they tend to be, that's how they see the world, as those who are bigger, stronger, have bigger guns are the ones in control. Not always, by no means always. As opposed to those who grow up in a peaceful home in a nice neighborhood, tend to see the world differently. So, by no means, again, am I saying that we should outlaw these things or completely stop them, the games. But I think everyone would agree that we want a more peaceful world. And I think every theologian would agree that the original plan, God's original world, there was going to be no violence. If you read Genesis, and by no means am I a theologian, but I listen to theologians and I read theologians' comments and Bible commentary. There was animals were going to kill each other, humans were going to kill each other. It wasn't until sin that came into play. So it is a very interesting topic, and it's a hot topic actually. It's even controversial because there are those who say that it doesn't have any impact on them. So it's okay, but the fact of the matter is it does impact to some extent society. And psychologically speaking, Cheryl, we know that even things like, and for some people more than others, some people really like to see how many likes they get, say on Facebook, or how many retweets they get in social media. We have the technology now to measure, when a like happens, there's our brain releases dopamine, which makes us feel good. Just like when you're playing, there's even deeper studies when you're playing a video game, when you get a score, or in some cases when you kill the bad guy, that releases dopamine, which gives us a high, which makes it addictive, because then we want that next shot of dopamine in our brain, that chemical, the hormone that's released in our brain. So there is a lot of evidence, and again, when you talk about science, they're really don't talk about proofs. There's only mathematical proofs, but in science we talk about evidence that supports this. So there's a lot of evidence to support that video games can be. I'm not saying they always are, but video games, just like alcohol is always, video games can be addictive. And again, the reason why, you get that shot of dopamine and you get a score, get to that next level, if you will. And that's, how else would you explain? Oftentimes, there's a lot of case studies out there. You don't look very far of people, kids, a lot of times playing a video game, 26, 28 hours straight, without sleeping. Straight on, and not eating really much. So it's really not having a meal. I grab a sandwich or bring them a sandwich,
Yeah.
Why else would we do that? Because your body gets tired and it's rested. Health wise, that sitting the whole time is just not healthy. We know that now. They say sitting is the new smoking. So there's a lot of support for that. So anyway, any other thoughts on that?
Well, from what I could hear, it's kind of difficult. But from what I could hear, you're saying that there's evidence that violent video games can cause people to be violent, but it's necessarily what happens every time or all the time. Depending on how much you play it. A lot of times, like you said, it has to do with the score of getting something. It's like doing pinball. You're trying to get to a certain point. This way, you're blasting this and blasting that. But, it's not always a question of being violent. It's a question of getting a top score. Yeah, but I didn't agree with there was something that I'm not sure if I read it on online in the class. They were talking about Grand Theft. Oh, it was one of my classmates. He said Grand Theft Auto, and had to get through different things. I'm thinking, yeah, you got to get through different things, but the point. And a lot of times you might not get the point, but you know, may not be. I know there. I think there is a Grand Theft. There is an auto race like that, similar to that, similar to TV or whatever. But I don't think they're doing it to the point where they're killing people or anything like that, causing much more violence other than crashing cars.
Oh yeah, it's I remember when I first heard about Grand Theft Auto, I was talking to a bunch of fifth grade boys. It hadn't been out that long. But my kids growing up didn't play very many video games. We had one Spider-Man that was very innocuous and a couple of Mickey Mouse ones that the Spider-Man, when he got the criminals, he would tie him up in a web and wait for the cops to come. Of course, both my wife and I being psychologists, we're not going to allow our kids to play violent video games. Why would we run the risk anyway? I was talking to some boys and they said we play video games. Okay, so I was just trying to get to know them a little bit. And they said we play Grand Theft Auto. Okay, so just from the name, I don't know anything about it. And then, so we had a little session there. It was probably 5 or 6 boys in a little group counseling session. And subsequently, I went over my notes with someone, another colleague, and they said, "What? Grand Theft Auto?" And then they began to tell me all the things that has in it, killing police officers to prostitution, things going on, and it's they actually at that time started, I think, rating, and that was like a NC-17 kind of thing. These kids are 11, 12 years old, and so that's the other thing. A lot of the games that are for people 17 and older being played by 7, 8, 9-year-old kids, which is, I think, problematic. But kind of moving on. I'm just this slide here is perfect. Besides getting into the deep discussion of hormones, dopamine, operant conditioning, that actually, very simple. I mean, you can certainly, I think, make a generalization between what we have here on our PowerPoint screen of operant conditioning with a rat pushing a lever to get food. So he knows it's kind of like I always use the example of kids or adults, even in vending machines, a candy machine or a soda machine. We're taught. You put your money in, you push the lever, and out comes a treat. It's so almost you put your quarter in. That kind of ages me, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's $1 at least. It's $1 at least. But I can actually remember putting in dimes to get a Coke back in the day. But anyway, look at this and look. Same thing with a video game. Okay, so if I'm good enough to shoot down the rocket or whatever it may be, then I get points. So that's my reward, and I cherish those points. Let's go switch a little bit here. I won't keep on much longer, Cheryl. This is great, and we talked, and some of the classmates talked about. I don't remember which ones. A lot that we did talk about this and how it relates to either their children or how perhaps how their parents raised them when they were kids, and it's really interesting to see these psychological concepts come to life in our homes. And if you read my bio, whatever introduction there, I'll just quickly remind everyone. I'm an adjunct professor here at Central Christian College, which I love, and I'm also my full-time job. I've been with Broward Schools for 21 years as a guidance counselor, and that obviously entails a lot of unfortunately entails a lot of testing and things like that, but also my training is in counseling and behavior management, really. So getting kids in a group or in a class of different ethnicities and different socioeconomic standpoints and things like that, can present a challenge to some teachers. So I help them, learn it. And part of what we do is more of the classical conditioning, not necessarily opera, but we do use some opera conditioning from time to time. I won't have time to get into it here, but we do. Anyway, we do use class conditioning. Okay, so when you do good, you get a sticker, or you get your team gets a point, and kids can respond to that. We also show them by modeling. They'll have videos. Sometimes I'll bring in a colleague and we will model how to we'll have like a script of how to resolve a conflict, or how to take turns for like the young children. So we use all of those things. But one of the points I made in one of the posts or responses I said to one of the students is, I stand by this axiom, this absolute. Without a relationship, not getting to know someone and showing them that you care for them, which means that you do have to genuinely care for them. You can't fake it. All that conditioning is going to be limited. All that teaching is going to be limited. And you can be the greatest, most well-versed behaviorist in the world, and go into a class or a group of people, adult team, if they don't know you, if they don't trust you, I'm not saying you won't have any influence at all, but it's going to be very limited. On the other hand, we'll use kids just as an example. If you do genuinely care about kids and you show them, you could be the weakest person in classroom management and they will try and please you. I mean, you have to have some management and some skills in terms of shaping behavior. I don't need to minimize that. But you can get a lot further and a lot more cooperation. So, like I said, one, you do have to genuinely care about them. And my experience, teachers to colleagues working in a hospital or a police department or a department store, we probably care more about our fellow human being than we show. And I think part of it is because society is becoming, so busy. We're becoming so busy, essentially. And society is, sped up to the point we just don't take the time to, first of all, think and reflect about how much we care about our fellow man. And then secondly, take a little bit more time to show them. This is kind of an axiom of negotiation, sales, teaching, parenting, and marriages. We unfortunately focus oftentimes on the wrong thing. Sorry, I think it was popping up in here. So, I don't want to take away from our lesson, our discussion that we're wrapping up now for conditioning. But I also want to bring Jen to the front the importance of not being a machine. And I bring that up for this, and we're going back here to Skinner. B.F. Skinner, I think it's on the other slide here. Hang on a second. Back here. B.F. Skinner was one of the best and he even tried to raise his children, using just complete conditioning, offering, any conditioning, to teach them to do what he wanted them to do. And I'm not saying he didn't love his kids, I'm sure he did. But I would just caution everyone not to put the cart before the horse. And I sort of allude to this when I'm giving talks to businesses and everything, churches, when I get invited to give a talk. So this is kind of the icing on the cake. But you know, knowing this stuff, and studying these things, even in like just touching on here in a gen psych course, and if you continue to study psychology, you'll get deeper and deeper into this. It can be a real gem in terms of helping you in your career and parenting and personal life. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm having a hard time getting a lot of what you said. It sounded like you was thinking that you might have been getting a little bit off track because you were talking about basically getting to know people, letting them know that you care about what's going on in their lives. And I got from what you said, it is important. I mean, if somebody knows that somebody's out there that cares about them, they may do less that's wrong and more that's right. At least that's the way I look.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my connection or your connection, Cheryl. Hopefully it's going to come through on the recording for everyone. Of course, you're welcome to look at the recording. Of course, you're going to be awarded your extra credit points for being here. More than that, I want to say how much I appreciate you being here. It's always much easier when we have at least one person. So I am very grateful that you were able to join me. I did see that you posted a question just a couple of hours ago, a while ago today. I will be going on later tonight, and I'll give you type out the answer to that. I need to look at it again to give you the answer. But in any event, don't worry about anything. You know, if there's anything too drastically off the mark, then I'll get with you and say this is what we're looking for. You didn't understand or whatever have you. But by no means have you ever panicked in my class. I'm here to help you. But I will tell you, I'll give you some direction on that as well on one of the assignments. I guess it is. So what I'm going to do? Go ahead.
You'll get you have seen my question, or you will see it. Correct?
I glanced at it. I just kind of glanced. I saw that there was a question. I don't know the specifics of it, but I'll go back and look at it, and I'll respond to you for sure.
Okay. Well, whenever you can get it in there, that's fine.
Very good.
That's fine.
Very good.
I thank you for calling. I'm glad I could get on here and actually call and hear your voice. You know.
That is so nice.
I was trying to get in and see you.
You should be able to see.
I know I couldn't hear you, but I knew I could see you.
Okay, good. Yeah, and all I see is your phone number there. I didn't actually put your video on, but that's fine. So anyway, thank you again so much. I'm going to go. Let's get off here, and I'll so that way I can get the recording on for everyone and wrap up the week. We're going into week 4 already. This is tomorrow night at midnight. I mean that's the halfway mark already. These courses are great.
Oh yeah.
They go by fast. So I'll be looking for this exciting start of week 4. Cheryl, I'll be praying for you and your family. I wish you all the best. I'm glad you did send me a message. If I can do anything else for you, don't hesitate to contact me here, okay?
Okay, and I'm sorry about what has happened. I pray for you and the people that you were concerned with.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. That really does. And thank you so much. That's heartwarming. Thank you. I'll talk to you soon, Cheryl.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.